the international game, as we've seen this year, it actually does still exist. A lot of people still care about it, and a lot of people are heavily invested in watching it. I think this year has been the best reflection of how an international season or off-season could be run, in terms of people actually buying in, and the Pacific Championship, and even England playing Samoa. Like, there was a lot of community involvement and interest in that.
This one has to be the most fun we've had recording an interview. Ronan Michael is an Irish international prop. After stints with clubs like Huddersfield and York, Ronan will turn out for Bradford in 2025. His enthusiasm and love for the game is absolutely infectious. We hope you smile as much as we did when listening to this episode.
The goal for every player is, you're kidding yourself if you don't want to win the whole comp. If you don't want to win the whole comp and then crack on and play Super League, what are you in it for? Do you know? And everyone has their own reasons, but the competitor that I am, I've never won anything of that level in my life, and I want to win something.
Ronan Michael, welcome to the show. It's good to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, lads.
Not a problem at all. Excited to have you on. And as always, I've got my trusted co-host, Stu McClelland, on the show. Stu, how are you keeping, my friend?
Yeah, I'm very well and excited to have the boy from Balbriggan on the show. By the way, what's it like being back home in Ireland?
It's good, refreshing, to be fair. Nothing the Irish Sea cannot fix. All the ailments and niggles off the back of a rugby league season fixed by the Irish Sea. But let me tell you something, it's probably sunnier where you are than where I am.
I'm sure it is. And mate, it's great to chat to you. In Ireland's recent 36-6 victory over Scotland, we saw you belting out Ireland's Call, which is a great anthem, by the way. I love Ireland's Call prior to the game, and then picked up a man of the match performance. It's obvious you have a great passion for representing your country. Tell us what it means to you.
The world. It means everything, honestly. It's the best time of the year. Between COVID and the international break after the World Cup in 2022, we haven't had enough international rugby league, and it's different to playing like footy for your club. It's the best time of the year when it means that much to you. It's like, it doesn't go into words properly how good it is to play for your country, watching your family, like the connection that you have when your parents are in the crowd, and like, as great as it is playing for your club, my mom and my stepdad, my aunties and uncles, they have no relationship to my club. But when I'm wearing that green jersey, the passion bleeds out of them, and then therefore it bleeds out of me. So yeah, it's the best time of the year, and you're with a load of lads who are giving up part of their off season to come into camp, and that's why it means the most to me.
Love that answer.
Straight off the bat, what a fantastic answer. My question, though, is for the listeners that don't know, tell us about how you moved from rugby union to rugby league and represented Ireland under 17s before you played a competition match.
Yeah, so that's one of my favourite stories, to be honest. The lads from home said, geez, are you going on about that again? But so I grew up playing rugby union in Ireland. Ireland's a rugby union dominant place. Like, they're mad for it. Like, Ireland Rugby Union played the Kiwis the other day, and I was sort of taken back by how obsessed the country's become with rugby union. I'm like, gee, it's obsessed. So anyways, I grew up playing union my whole life, and where I'm from in Balbriggan, it's not a rugby town. It's not a big rugby stronghold in Dublin. So eventually I came to this crossroads as a young lad, which I was fairly self-aware for a 15-year-old bloke, say, and I said, if I want to grow and I want to be the best player that I can, I need to play with better players. The people who I was playing with and the environment I was in, we were just losing every week. I was stunting my own growth. So I said, if I want to make this my career, which I was serious about, I need to get into a better environment. So I sent my application to move to one of the better clubs in Dublin at the time. And the branch that rules over Leinster Rugby, the branch that rules over rugby union in this part of Ireland, they gave me 3 options. They didn't necessarily say no, but they sort of did, because they said you can move school, you can move house, or you can take a year out. Now, as a 15-year-old bloke, you don't have much choice in moving house. Yeah, you don't have many options in terms of that. In terms of moving school, again, you're not going to uproot your whole life with a couple of years left of school. Move school. That's a mission. So then it led me to this year out, and during this year out, again, like as a 15, 16 probably at the time now, after this has all come into fruition, I'm hounding the mother. I'm playing Gaelic football. I'm playing hurling. I'm going to the gym. I'm pulling my hair out. I'm like, Matt, I need a rugby ball. need to play rugby. I'm like, find me some sevens. And then the mother's on the laptop, she's flat out. She's like, this fella's driving me mad. He just wants to play rugby. And like, it was a tough year out. Like, it was probably the makings of me. But during this year out, I stumbled across rugby league. Now, in my head, there was the NRL over in Australia, and that was rugby league. Like I'd have seen the highlights. I grew up obsessed with Sonny Bill Williams. I'd seen it, but I didn't know it was played on this side of the hemisphere. Let alone in Ireland. We find out about rugby league Ireland, and I rock up to the training section, and I say to the coach, like, what's the name of the team, whatever. But I'll bring in Broncos or whatever it may be, the team in the local area. And he sort of just laughed at me and he said, Ireland under 17s. Like, what you mean? I said, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, you're going to be playing for Ireland. And this was like ka-ching. I was buzzing. I was like, you're telling me I'm going to play for my country? I was like, all right. This is the crack now. This is what's going on. So, yeah. And the game, this was 2017. So the game has come on leaps and bounds here. In some aspects, it's come on mild. In some aspects, there's still room for growth. But back then, it was you play for Ireland under 17s or you don't play underage rugby league. You can try play a bit of open age, but you're playing against grown men. Do you know what I mean? So I managed to get into the team. I played 2 internationals against Wales, and that sort of kick-started my rugby league career. And by then, I was obsessed with this sport. I was like, this is mad. I thought this is the maddest sport I've ever played. And I loved it. I proper loved it. And then off the back of that, here I am today talking to you lads, and it's sort of been a sit back sometimes and go, Jesus, it's been a mad few years. And then at the same time, it's gone just like that.
That's a great story, Ronan. And you mentioned Australia in the NRL. You actually came out to Australia to play with the Canberra Raiders under 20s, and unfortunately only got to participate in the pre-season before having to return home because of the global pandemic. Tell us about that, and do you still harbour a desire to return to Australia?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That was about the best time of my life. In one aspect, I loved it. So off the back of my stint in Ireland playing for the under 17s, I got offered a trial at Huddersfield, which led to me getting an academy contract, which led to me getting a Super League contract. And after the Super League contract, I'd been on probably my second preseason with Huddersfield Giants, because you do one when you're in academy anyway. So it would have been my second preseason, and they said to me, they pulled me into the office, like, and realistically, your first proper Super League contract as an 18-year-old, like the chances of you playing Super League is, especially for a bloke like myself who'd only been playing rugby league for 2 years, like the chances of playing Super League it's slim enough. Like, it was definitely a bit of a development opportunity getting this Super League contract. And they pulled me into the office and they said, Ronan, what do you reckon to the idea of going to Australia? And I was like, you're telling me, like, I was playing amateur back home in Ireland like less than 2 years ago, and you're just saying to me that I can go to Australia and go to Canberra Raiders under 20s, be part of an NRL system. Like, I was nearly saying yes before they even told me the offer. They could have said, okay, but you have to be the jester for the King of Canberra. And I would have been like, I'm there. I'm going. Do you know what I mean? It didn't matter what they said after. After they said I could go to Canberra under 20s, I was on the plane already. But obviously this opportunity came up, and I'm so grateful for it, because what an experience and a learning curve that was. And unfortunately, COVID hit. And the ironic thing is, the way the jersey flag worked that year, we landed on a bye round 1. So we got the bye round 1, which would have been my jersey flag official debut. And then round 2, the competition got cancelled. So it was just it was just one of those ones that you just have to, again, go sit back and laugh and go, classic. Of course, we had the bye round 1, but what an experience. And in terms of the lads I played with at Canberra, what a group of lads. Like, if you look at some of the names that we had in that 20s team, you have Leo Thompson, Brad Schneider, Adrian Trevelyan, Atta Moriata, Adam Cook, like that. Some of them, nearly all of them have played for Canberra. Then myself and Mitch Stewart are at Bradford now together. And then Manassi Ko and Jeremiah Sibikin just won the Q Cup up at North Devils. Jordy Martin as well. He's played for Canberra, made his NRL debut. A few other lads dropping in around the Q Cup, and you go, the potential that team had. It's just sort of like, it just sort of went away, because obviously we didn't actually get to play because of COVID. But that was a massive opportunity for me to develop. I feel like I was at that age. I just finished academy, and then obviously I was moving into a Super League setup, but I had to close a gap of growth because I'd only been playing this game in a somewhat professional environment for 18 months prior to going to Canberra. I was still very raw, and that just gave me a little bit more time and a little bit more of a touch point with people my own age and some really, really high quality coaches. And
Mm.
just before obviously having to come home for COVID, they said to me, Pete Mulholland and the coaching staff, obviously Pete's not with us anymore, and what a legend of a bloke he was as well. But they pulled me into the office and they said, we want you to start doing the early week sessions with the NRL and then drop into 20s towards the back end. So I was like, this opportunity was just getting better and better by the day, as the weeks gone by. And within a couple of weeks of having that conversation, we made the call that it was best for me to come home. And like, just like that again, I went from playing in Ireland to playing at Huddersfield to being a Canberra. I was back washing windows and cleaning gutters in Ireland and playing for the Longhorns, the old amateur club, back playing open age. And I was like, all of a sudden, it's literally you're in an NRL system to you're back working on the tools, like. And I was sort of sat back again, like, Jesus, this is a bit mad. Like the world's locked down. I'm cleaning windows for a few quid, and I'm back playing Gaelic football. I'm back to where I started in one way, but I had that. I was on a mission. I had that vision then.
Wow. I'm actually shocked. That is an amazing story. 3 countries and 3 completely different levels of rugby league as well. That is just absolutely phenomenal. And some of those names that you mentioned, yeah, they definitely have gone on to forge quite impressive playing career. Leo Thompson's a big news at the moment as we record this podcast as to sort of which club he's going to end up from 2026 onwards, I think, or maybe 2025. But what a story. You mentioned, though, in your answer that you were a part of the Huddersfield Giants Academy and you got to play a Super League game with them. How was that? And do you have a goal of playing more Super League matches?
Absolutely. And that's excuse me, that was the silver lining. So after I came back from Canberra, I was working, as I said, I was working cleaning windows. I was in a bit of a limbo because I knew before I went to Canberra that I would be returning to Huddersfield with a Super League contract, pen to paper in 2021. That was the agreement in sense that I'd come back to Huddersfield after my year of development in Canberra. So I knew I was going to be back for the following year. And Super League recommenced around August of 2020. So they went into the bubble essentially slightly different to how the NRL went. The NRL, I think, went into a bit more of a bubble a bit earlier. So Super League came back a bit later. We got the PCR testing up and running. And the lads started back training in August for around a September start of the competition. And I was still back home in Ireland. So obviously I was in limbo between my Canberra contract and coming back over to Huddersfield for the following year. And then I was walking away and like the lads started back training and I was chomping it. I was like, get me back in with the lads. Like, I know I'm going to be there next year. So like, when are they going to bring me back over? And I was halfway up a ladder washing a window. And you get a phone or on your Apple Watch. I think probably on my Apple Watch off Twitter. I nearly fell off the ladder, to be honest. I was losing the plot at this stage because there've been about 4 or 5 Super League games played at this stage. And it was Matthew Shaw, one of the other journals, and it was like, Huddersfield Giants have 16 fit players to go into this week's game. And at that stage, then I was ringing the new director of rugby. I rang Andy Kelly up and I said, mate, get me back. If there's no one fit, mate, just bring me back early. Like, I was losing the plot. Like, I think they only have 16 fit between, like, obviously positive tests. And at the time, we're chasing a whole season of fixtures. So it's like 3-day turnaround, 4-day turnaround, 5-day, 3-day, 4-day. So anyways, they brought me back over. And I was like, right, this is like, I've just been cleaning windows. I am ready to rip in now. Like, I was like, back to Super League. I was like, let's go. Like, I'm over this working stuff. Like, I was like, boom, back in the mix. And then last game of the season, I got the opportunity, which again is a bit of a full circle moment. Luke Robinson, who's now the head coach, came in as like an interim head coach in 2020, and he was my academy coach. So he got to give me my Super League debut. Made my Super League debut against Wigan Warriors, who ended up winning the league leaders at the time, and that was like the full circle moment for me. Like, it went from Canberra at the start of the year to back playing for the Longhorns, winning an All-Ireland final, playing amateur Gaelic football and hurling, to then finishing off the end of the season with my Super League debut. And that was my dream from the minute I touched down in Huddersfield. It's like, I want to play Super League. It was like, I want to play academy, then I want to play Super League. And then that was a dream come true, and I want more of that. I'm not done. I've unfinished business in the Super League, so it's it's exciting times ahead.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and I think last time we spoke, it was for an article for Rugby League World, and which is called "The Book of Ronan," and we talked about it. You know that your career is a book in your career, and I want to write it. But I actually listening to you now, I think there's a movie in your career as well. Like I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you want to play Ronan Michael, but look, I think there's a movie there.
Mate, get me playing myself. I'm ready for the big screen.
But going on, you finished up at York Knights after a couple of seasons there, and I've always sort of looked at York Knights as being a really good club with a strong culture, and you've got the Valkyrie, the women's team, which does really well as well. Is that how you found the York club?
Yeah, absolutely. From the minute I got up, I had a season-long loan at York in 2022 from Huddersfield, and then I signed a permanent deal up in York, and the culture's really strong. It's a really, really connected club with the city, because there's not really a big football team or anything. The football team's like, okay, but we're really strongly connected with the city, and the culture at York has always been a bit of an underdog mentality in one sense, because we've always sort of punched above our weight. Like as long as I've been at York, we've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. We've made the semi-finals 2 out of those 3 years, and we're not necessarily known for being a legacy club, like a big club or a club with a massive history of winning stuff, but we've always punched above our weight, potentially not had as many big name signings as other clubs, but the culture within the club, massive, really, really, really positive culture. And then this year I really connected with the club. In particular, I got involved with the strength and conditioning with the York Valkyrie, so I got to see the side of the women's game as well, and have my input and my share on who inevitably ended up winning the grand final and became Women's Super League back-to-back champions. So it was nice to have that bit of a coaching aspect involved with the club as well. So yeah, it's a really strong culture, and I think sometimes off the back of that culture brings results more than necessarily the players or who you have around you. Is that at times, like in particularly the last 2 seasons, like, well, actually, as long as I've been at York, it's been a bunch of lads who are best mates having a red hot dig for each other, getting us results. Not because we've had the best players on the pitch, or even on paper we were the better team. Like that, we've played teams with bigger names or full-time teams, and we've just had a load of lads who are real close-knit group and just want to have a crack for each other. And that's what's been the catalyst for a lot of our results and the winning streaks we've gone on the back end of seasons to get us into playoffs. And like at one stage this year, we are sat second or third from the bottom, and we finished the season fourth. So it was a massive turnaround this year.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And you're a player that puts your hands up to get involved in club socials and generally likes to have fun with teammates. Is that a deliberate move to boost the culture and positive environment?
I wouldn't say it's deliberate for the culture or the environment. I just love it. I'm a social person. Do you know what I mean? I like having the crack with the lads, and I like what I do. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I feel like not a personal responsibility in some sense, that people want to know what's going on behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? And like, in order to build a relationship with anyone or anything, you want to connect with the players on like a level that's not just playing footy. You know what I mean? And I love showing that side of it as well. Do you know what I mean? That this is what we're up there. This is the human side of us. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's not something that's like intentionally done to build the culture. It's just who I am as a player. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm at York, so I'm going to be the culture man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just the way I am, whether I'm at Ireland, whether I'm at York, whether I'm at Bradford next year. It's just like, I can't help myself. I'm just made for the camera. Do you know what
I mean? Love that.
Talking of Bradford, you signed there for next season. The Bulls were obviously a very big club in their heyday, and they've still got an iconic stadium. I went there with Greece. We did a warm-up game before the Cup, and it's an amazing stadium. Not one of the newest stadiums, but certainly captivating. Are they a club on the rise, do you believe? And what are your goals for next season?
I believe that Bradford are a club on the rise, and I think that definitely led to my decision to go there. For the season coming, I want to play my best rugby league. Yeah, I think I'm coming into that age now that you sort of come away from that young fella label. Do you know what I mean? You're not young. Like, I'm 24 now. I suppose some people might think I'm still young, but you're coming into that you're not just a fresh kid out of the academy anymore. You know, there's a little bit of expectation. I've played enough championship now to have a bit of that weight on my shoulders to step up, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna thrive in that, a new environment, and I think the goal for every player is you're kidding yourself if you don't want to win the whole comp. Like, if you don't want to win the whole comp and then crack on and play Super League, like, what are you in it for? Do you know? And everyone has their own reasons, but the competitor that I am, I've never won anything of that level in my life, and I want to win something. Do you know? And I'm sure like every player says that in preseason around this time of year. But like that's the goal. Like, that's why we're in it. That's why we're in it. There's 12 teams. There's 12 teams who step onto the pitch and go. They start in January or February or whenever they start, and they go, we want to set off to win this comp. You know what I mean? And if you're not, you're kidding yourself, really. And then obviously off the back of that, like, who knows what IMG and all the other things. But I'd love to get back playing Super League. I think that's again, that like the sky's the limit. There's no reason why I can't. So it's one of those ones that sometimes you gotta believe in yourself and go, yeah, let's do it. You know, put it out. Be a little bit vulnerable. It is a bit scary to say all that stuff, isn't it? You know, but be a bit vulnerable and go, yeah, that's what I want to do. Sure, why would I not want to win a comp and get back playing Super League? You know, like, because everyone's thinking it, but someone has to say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's true.
that's a great attitude. And I was going to mention, you mentioned Mitch Suter from Canberra, who's at the Bradford Bulls. He's actually, I actually know Mitch well, and his dad's a friend of mine. So, and he's worked really hard to get where he is, and he's doing well from all reports there at Bradford Bulls.
Oh, he's killing it. He's killing it at the moment. They have a right song for "Can't Start a Fire." Mitch Suter's on fire. They love him. They love him. But no, again, this is where rugby league is the world's smallest world. So I landed in Canberra, and I lived with Dean and Sharon and Mitch. That's who I lived with for my first 2 months in Canberra. So me and Mitch ended up like that, very very close with the family as well. And when I was up for negotiations, they were actually over in England. I sat down with a meal with them, and they were like, "Come on, you across to get back playing with Mitch." And I was like, yeah, you know what I am, yeah. I was like, we're gonna reunite. But yeah, he's one of my real good mates. And like, even when he said to me, I was like, geez, I was messaging him. We've not seen each other in ages. Like, when are you gonna come over these ways? He goes, well, actually, I'm signing over here. I was like, yeah, lovely, buzzing. And now we're actually together. So like 4 years on from when we played together at Canberra, and we're living together. We're back playing together now again, and that's the rugby league circle. You know what I mean? It swings and roundabouts, but it's funny, like, as you say, that we lived together and now we're back playing together. But I'm really looking forward to sharing the field with him. I think it's 1-1 this or the previous season when we were playing against each other. So we'll call it a draw, and then we'll get back playing together.
Definitely a small world. Let's move to the international stuff now, though. Earlier this year, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, and Lebanon were reclassified, meaning that they lost full membership along with Russia to the IRL. Obviously, the negative for you is that Ireland won't be competing in the 2026 World Cup. But on the plus side, is it an opportunity to work on the domestic side of things to meet the criteria?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those ones that, like, yeah, it was probably the biggest dagger news I've ever got in my life. It was like a dagger to the heart, and I did have to bite my tongue to not go on Twitter straight away and be like, what is going on here? But the international game, as we've seen this year, it actually, like, it does still exist, and a lot of people still care about it. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people are heavily invested in watching it. I think this year has been the best reflection of how an international season or off season could be run, in terms of people actually buying in, and the Pacific Championship, and even England playing Samoa. Like, there was a lot of community involvement and interest in that. And you're right, it is an opportunity to work on the domestic game, and it's probably something that took a knock-on effect off COVID, like in Ireland in particular, and then like probably never really got the ball rolling again as we were pre-COVID, building into the 2021 World Cup, and then that halted it, and we got to the World Cup, which was the following year, and then after that, we probably didn't keep the momentum going enough here, and it's frustrating, and it's going for Ireland, it's going for all those other countries, but I do think that, like, the game needs to grow from the ground up, because if not, there's no international game. Like, I can see why the roof is there, because it needs to come from the ground up and rise, but at the same time, the frustrations within that is that, like, it's a 10-team World Cup in 2026. Like, that's a that's an oversized Six Nations. You know what I mean? Like it's not a World Cup in that sense, and that's the frustration from like a player like myself or someone from Scotland or Italy is that like every if you were at the game Ireland versus New Zealand where I made my World Cup debut, there was 13,000 there. I'd say there was 11,000 neutrals or Irish cheering for Ireland because we were everyone's second team for no reason other than the fact that like we had a bit of crack and someone's great granny's uncle's cat was Irish at some stage. I mean, it's one of those ones, and you miss out on that then, like in that people following their second team and things like that. Like it's very frustrating for someone who so passionate about playing internationally. But I do agree that it is a very good opportunity for the game to grow back home and then obviously focus further towards maybe 2030. But geez, even saying that out loud, like that seems like a long time away in your career. Like, and with the COVID interruptions, like there's been a lot less internationals and a lot less opportunities to play for Ireland. And you go, geez, 2030 World Cup, and that seems like forever away. But hopefully we get some good tours in between and get some good opportunities to grow the game and maybe play against like some lower tier nations, like maybe God knows who knows. But I think if we're going to grow it, we need to be playing games and getting eyes on the international game because it's great footy, it's passionate footy, and it's exciting.
Absolutely agree. Previously, you've mentioned to me how you'd love to see a club from Dublin or Galway in Super League. Do you think it will happen? And how important is expansion for the game in the UK?
Expansion's everything. It's everything, and I want to see it happen. I don't see why it can't happen. I think it's probably further away than we would like to say, but there's no reason. There's no reason why it can't. I think that having a team in somewhere like Dublin, it's gonna grow the game. I think Dublin's the spot. Like it's close to Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Bradford Airport. Like everyone who's playing there. Oh yeah, it's close to all the main northern airports. The Super League clubs would love an away day in Dublin. The players who are going to most likely initially come from an English or an Australian base of players to fill that first roster of the squad, they're going to love playing a year or two in Dublin and getting that experience. So the potential for growth is there in the international game, and it's a no brainer. It's a no brainer. You can't keep the game in that pocket of England and then expect it to grow. Do you know what I mean? Like the garden's only so big. There's only so much pickings there. The reason that rugby union is so successful is because it's going everywhere. It's going everywhere. And I'll die on the hill that it's much easier to explain to a bunch of people who've never played the game how rugby league works than it is how rugby union works. But they've got it figured out on how it's catching on, and it's like wildfire at the moment. Whereas we're stuck in sometimes that small town mentality that we're in this little pocket of England, and then it's obviously the NRL's doing a better job than the English Rugby League are growing it, but it's still like these two areas, and then we need to grow it outwards. And I think a Dublin team is one of the main things. But I'm biased, you know what I mean? I'm biased towards a Dublin team.
No, I'm not biased, and I agree. I would love to see a Dublin team in there. And I think, it all comes down to finances, of course. But if we can see sort of the NRL get to Papua New Guinea and Perth and a second New Zealand team and play games in Vegas, it just goes to show where there's a will, there's a way. So hopefully we do see Dublin before 2030, so to speak, and then we see Ireland showing up in the 2030 Men's World Cup. But do you think that the game is growing in Ireland in terms of interest and participation?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when I started playing, not one, there might have been four people in Balbriggan who'd have seen a bit of like Bradford versus Leeds in the heyday, do you know what I mean? Or whoever, Wigan versus Saints in the heyday on BBC when it used to be on. But no one really knew what rugby league was. Now, I went back to my school 2 days ago during the week, and I took a rugby union session because that's still what they play in school. But there was lads rocking up in Rugby League Ireland jerseys. Do you know what I mean? And now they have bag loads of York Knights kit, so there's going to be York Knights kit all over Balbriggan. But there's people, there's people who know what rugby league is now. They go, "Oh, you play rugby league." They know what they're talking about to me. There's people from back home who are tuning into the games now. They're following where my journey goes. So whether it's they're following Huddersfield, then they start following York, then they start following Bradford, and they keep an eye on the scores, and like they're becoming more invested. just off the back of having myself, like, in the least arrogant way, but they have someone to go, well, we'll follow where he goes because we know who he is. He's a local lad, and that like we want to follow his journey on it. You know what I mean? So the game is growing. There's lads kicking about in rugby league jerseys here now. You know, you're seeing them crop up. There's more amateur players here playing, and then obviously this year against Scotland, we managed to bleed some of them through into the system. Like we had our team was a shell of the team that played in the World Cup in 2022, and then we had a lot of new lads who've come through the Ireland A systems, the students, the 19s, and then got their first senior cap, which was me when I got to do that in 2018. That was me, and then these lads have now got the opportunity through. So the game is growing here. It's just it's obviously just getting it growing at a rate that's going to produce more players coming and making the move across the pond initially, and then obviously eventually getting to the stage where we can grow it enough to have our own team in Ireland and have teams competing. But that like you said, it is investment, and it is obviously opportunity as well. Like I fell on a lucky opportunity. You can call it what you want, but it was there is an element of right place, right time, and you take it with two hands. But if I wasn't there in the shop window, then like it wouldn't have happened, you know. And I just hope that off the back of my journey, more lads can get inspired, become aware of the game, because we're a rugby union stronghold. But there's thousands of players who are very good athletes who have just fallen out of a system. Like we have four professional rugby union teams on this island, and that's it. There's no second division. There's no that's four rosters. Call it 120 pro players in Ireland. Like there's 120 pro players in the west of Sydney probably playing rugby league. So in terms of the limited capacity of professional opportunities versus the amount of players playing, there's a potential for growth. The players are there. The island is a rugby mad place. It's just about going, oh, have you seen this? Like there's pro rugby union players. I think it might have been James Haskell who said, I'd rather watch the NRL than watch the internationals. The game, the product's there, the excitement's there. It's just the conversion and the marketing, you know. And that's the side of things that there's more room for growth. But I do think that here it's exciting. There's potential, and I just want to see some more young lads come across and give it a go. You know, it's not going to kill anyone, is it?
It's just better, quite frankly. Like I was in Vegas this year, and I couldn't believe looking around that these people of Las Vegas get to experience what we've been ranting and raving about my entire life. It is just a better sport. It's quicker. It's more entertaining. The athletes are better. On the opposite side of things, I go over to New Zealand, which is strangely becoming a rugby league stronghold over the past 5 years or so. But prior to that, I'd have people say to me, oh, I don't like rugby league because they're the same shape athlete every single position. What has that got to do with how good the sport is? It's a ridiculous cop-out. I think more people just need to be exposed to the brilliant sport that we have, because quite frankly, it's just a better sport. Do you agree, Stu?
I agree, and I disagree with same-shaped athlete anyway. I mean, Ronan's not going to play halfback anytime soon, so...
Yeah, I do want to go to bed. Jimmy dreams of pulling people through gaps.
I think we touched on this earlier, Ronan, but since debuting in 2018, I think you've played 7 times for Ireland. Obviously, COVID got in the way there. Would you like to see Ireland play more international matches?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I mentioned, it's the best time of the year, and I love it. I love it. Like it's so good. I want to play more international matches. I want my teammates to play more international matches. Like the lads who I play at Ireland with, like it's a different type of connection. Like I think it's deeper than just the playing. It's the fact that you know that the lads are potentially giving up work, giving up their off seasons with their family to come and share that moment with you. It's so special, and it genuinely is like, it is the best time. It's the pinnacle of your career. Like it's the most enjoyable experience, and the bond that we get to have on camp together. It's the stories we have to tell are like unbelievable, and that's why when I seen about the no opportunity to get to 2026 World Cup, like I was gutted. Like the stories from 17 in Australia are like, I've heard them I've heard them that many times that I'm like, I want to live that. I want to experience that, like, you know. But it genuinely, it's so good, and it's something that money can't buy, like that experience of getting to play alongside your brothers and put on that green shirt. It's the best time of the year, like I keep saying. And I think there should be an international fixture calendar. I think we play too many games at club level. I think like it's madness the amount of club footy we play. Like I think as a championship, we started before the NRL, before the Super League, and we finished like we lost in the semi-final York against Wakefield, who ended up winning it. But we finished after the Super League, after the NRL, and you're looking like how many fixtures can we play? Do you know what I mean? It's bonkers, and you go with any forward thinking. If you go right, we're gonna have 3 international weekends here, and we're gonna let the Celtic nations go and play. You know, we're gonna enforce it. We're gonna make it something that's everyone's playing here. All the clubs have bought into releasing their players, which is another big factor. Is that like when your club's paying your wage, they may not want the risk again. So it has to be a buy-in from the top down and then all the way up from the clubs to go, you know what, we're all going to invest in this international, and we're going to make something of it, and we're going to really get behind our lads who are playing for their countries. And then off the back of that, the game grows. There's more exciting fixtures, because like imagine an Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales doubleheader at Headingley or at St Helens, you know, or at Old Trafford. Like that's going to be a sellout. You know, you're getting all 4 nations playing on the same day. Like it's going to be a sellout. Like, and then all the clubs can get behind their players and go, you know what? Yeah, like so and so's playing for Ireland. He's versing against so and so for England. Do you know what I mean? It's as good. It's as good as it gets if it's done right. So yeah, we need more fixtures because it's the pinnacle.
Absolutely. Every time Ireland play in England, they get a really large crowd. I think the 2013 World Cup and the 2021 World Cup, Ireland games have either sold out or come very, very close to it. You're right. So Ireland playing in England needs to be something that the game needs to start talking about a lot more. I'm optimistic that we're going through a consolidation phase with the International Rugby League. It's quite obvious now that the NRL run the international game. They funded Samoa to tour England. If observing the NRL since Peter V'landys has come in, they don't sort of talk about things. There's a lot happening from behind the scenes, and they go through this sort of consolidation phase, but then out pops a couple of years later something really, really promising, like Las Vegas, like the Pacific Championships, like Samoa touring England, Tonga touring England. So I think the attention is rightly now going to be focused on the Northern Hemisphere. So I'm really optimistic that the home nations, such as Ireland, will play more internationals, and France will get a lot of attention as well. Call me naive, but I really think that's about to happen. But I want to change subjects now. Tell us a bit about Ronan Michael PT. What are the goals and how's it going?
It's going good. So yeah, Ronan Michael PT, that's obviously my business, my personal business, and it's what I do alongside Rugby League. Rugby League, as we all know, it's a roller coaster, and it's a short career in the grand scheme of your life. So I think what I do away from rugby ties in perfect with what I do on the pitch. So my personal training things, I'm an online coach. I run my own business, and I manage some online clients for another coach as well. And essentially what I do is I tie in my lifestyle of health, rugby, fitness, discipline in with what I'm trying to promote for other people. And that's the person who I am. I live it every day. I breathe it. It's the person who I am on and off the field. So it sort of ties in fantastic with my career. It's something that's very low impact. Like I'm not on the tools. I'm not walking up and down scaffolding. I'm not cleaning windows like I did or building pallets like I've done in the past. So it's really, really positive. And obviously as I said, it is who I am. I believe that I've got to where I've got to as a result of the disciplined decisions that I've made. So when the hammer struck down and it was time to get to Huddersfield, to get the camera, I was ready to hit the ground running because of that and because of my lifestyle choices. And that's what sort of led me into personal training and online coaching, because it ties in nicely with rugby. And unfortunately, as great as it is, this career isn't going to be everything that we do in life. And I just feel like if I can promote health and fitness and share my journey with the world and with people who are interested, then if one or two people take a penny of value out of it, then it's worth me promoting and worth me sharing what I've been through. So it's been really positive and successful, and obviously it's been a journey in itself. Like, but luckily enough, it's tied in really nicely with my career, and it's allowed me to stay focused, because all of a sudden when you put out that, yeah, you have to do it, you sort of have to do it, else everyone's gonna go, yeah, he's full of it, he's just saying he's doing one thing. I see him in the beer garden 4 days in a row, do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't work, Yeah.
It's like never trust a skinny chef.
Exactly.
The opposite, though.
That brings us to a really good point, because my next question, I ask a food question on every podcast. I know you've got a dad from Antigua, is that right? And mum who's Canadian Irish. You spent time obviously growing up in Ireland, then the north of England, and even a little bit of time in Australia. So what I want to ask you, Ronan, is favorite cuisine and favorite dish.
Fantastic question.
And you don't have to think about your healthy lifestyle.
No, don't worry. I won't be. I love Japanese food. Like, if I could eat anything forever, like sushi, chicken teriyaki, like I probably could eat that every day. Chicken, like a good chicken teriyaki, I could pump that every day. I love sushi. I love Japanese food. It's my favorite cuisine on earth. Like, I'm obsessed with it. So I'm a sucker for a steak, and then I do love. There's a spot called Rudy's Pizza, just opened up in York as well. That's like go-to after a game. Massive pizza, loads of meat on it, bit of garlic aioli. I'm all over it. But my one tradition is the lads will say they think I'm a weirdo. Every Saturday before a game, I get a Nando's. It spawned out of probably my inability to cook when I got to Huddersfield as an 18-year-old, or maybe lack therefore of cooking. And I just loved Nando's when I got to Huddersfield, and we used to get a discount as well. So I was like, yeah, all over. 18-year-old me, discount, chicken, chips, rice. And then ever since then, I've been pumping Nando's every Saturday before a game. So the lads always like, are we going Nando's today? I'm like, yeah, obviously it's Saturday. So yeah, I'm mad for it. I'm mad for the grub. Like, I'm mad for the grub. But yeah, Japanese is my favorite food. I'll tell you something though. Anything that's traditionally English food, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing.
It's opposite to last week's podcast. With the coach and
Pie chips and gravy. No, that's not for me.
So shout out to Matt Rigby there, the Netherlands women's coach and the general manager of Rochdale Hornets. We got the complete opposite answer. He had love English food. People bag it out, but it's my answer.
Greg's in that.
What about an Irish stew, Ronan?
Yeah, it's great, and like, you know what I mean, it's grand, but the world's a wide place. I've come to learn that, like, you know what I mean. There's plenty. That's coming from a proud Irishman. There's plenty better group than a good Irish stew. Do you know what I mean? But I tell you, we're good at making pints of Guinness, but the grub in general.
Absolutely. Well, that's easily the best answer we've had to that question, Stu, by the way. But we are actually out of questions. Do you have anything that you want to add, Ronan?
I don't think so. No, I just, like, obviously I love what yous are doing. I love yous are passionate about the international game. I'm very passionate about the international game, and I think that, like, just to tie it all up, that if anyone's made it this far through the podcast and they're thinking of starting rugby league or they have an interest, I just want to give that word of encouragement to go out and do it. You can always go back to home. You can always go back to what you're currently doing. But if there's an opportunity or you're thinking of jumping in the deep end, don't just dive headfirst into it, because that's my one lesson from life, is that if you lean into the fact that whatever you're going to do is going to be a bit scary, and there's going to be times when it's uncomfortable, but if you lean into it, the fruits of the labor, they're the best ever. And the as mad as this career has been and as much of a journey as it's been, I wouldn't change it for anything, because how good it's been is a result of going, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? It won't kill me. It won't kill me to jump on a flight. It won't kill me to go and do this. It won't kill me to give it a crack. And that's, if anyone's made it this far, that's my final bit of waffle, I guess, to leave you on that. Just lean into the discomfort and go out and take the leap.
No, not waffle at all. Wise words indeed. Sure, I don't think we can top that at all. However, I will go to you. Have you got anything that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I don't. Although I have got a quick question, Ronan, that just came to my head. Is there one single thing that you're most proud of in your career?
Yeah, playing in the World Cup for Ireland against the Kiwis. I'll leave you on this story. So Jamin Jolliffe got a ban against Lebanon, and he got a ban against Lebanon. and we were appealing the ban. So Jed Corcoran, who was the head coach, said to me, Ronan, if Jimmy doesn't get off the ban, you're starting against the Kiwis. Obviously, I hadn't played the previous 2 World Cup games. He goes, if Jimmy gets off the ban, you're 18th man. So the lads, obviously the front rowers were 8 and 10, and on a blackjack table, if you had an ace and a 7, it can be 8 or 18. So the lads started calling me blackjack because I was either starting or 18th. I was either starting front row or 18th man. So that's what they were calling me that whole week. They go, all right, blackjack, are you starting or you 18th man? But yeah, that was the proudest moment of my career. All my mates were in the crowd dressed as leprechauns. I banged out 35 minutes against the Kiwis in my opening stanza against the best number 1 ranked team in the world, and all my family were watching. And in that moment, I just, you know what, you could have put me underground after that, and I would have been like, this is life. I'm yet to have a better moment in my career, a better weekend. Just everything was just fantastic. Everyone was watching, and yeah, that's what makes this whole journey all worth again, to play in a World Cup against the best players in the world, literally the best players in the world, go toe to toe with the best front rowers that have played the game, that are still playing the game. Like you're going up against Maria Hargreaves and Fisher Harris, and you're going, yeah, this is it. This is as good as it gets. You know what I mean? So yeah, that I'll leave you on that story from me, the blackjack.
Absolutely. Well, Ronan Michael, aka the Blackjack, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, lads. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Everything Rugby League. If you like this episode, give the show a follow and leave a review. For more news and insights, follow us on Facebook or head to everythingrugbyleague.com.